using when I'm talking about music is that you can only eat an elephant one bite at a time. And to stay consistent with that statement right there, if you're going to pick music and you want to make it work for your group, you've got to make sure that you check your instrumentation. Then you study the score to make sure that each fits with one another. A few years ago, I think probably I became one of those folks that really enjoyed playing transcriptions. But it wasn't just because of the transcriptions, it was because of my mentor. That's Dr. Robert Hawkins, who of course is deceased. He was the director of bands at Morehead State University, and Hawk, which was his name that everyone used, would say, Chuck, if you want to play great music, you've got to play it of the masters. You've got to play music that is written by those that have stood the test of time. And that really made a lot of sense to me. Not so much maybe the first time he said it, but as I began to think through this type of literature. When I first started in this business, there wasn't a lot of compositions being written for bands. And so using a transcription was pretty much the norm. However, if you're going to use a transcription, let me tell you what all of a sudden started happening. You can't use a transcription if you don't have good double reeds. You can't use a transcription if you don't have a wonderful woodwind section. You can't use a transcription if you don't have a good horn section. You can't use a transcription if you don't have great soloists on all of the instruments. Because a transcription, as we know, is made strictly from an orchestra score. And so I began to think to myself, oh, if I'm going to develop a band and I'm going to use transcriptions, then I've got to develop the total band. I've got to make sure that I have everything. And as I was thinking through this, Lois, after you suggested that we do this, I kind of wrote down a few of the transcriptions, and this is just skimming the surface of some of the transcriptions that I've done. But I kind of did this. One of my favorite is the Les Preludes, and Beatrice and Benedict, and Liebestow, the Tristan and Isolde, the Roman Carnival Overture, Ruslan and Ludmilla, La Forza del Destino, Symphonic Metamorphosis. That jump, boy, did that jump out of the past into the present, but it was still a transcription when I did it, right there. The Symphony No. 4, the finale, we just did a few years ago at Midwest with the North Hardin Band. Night on Bear Mountain, just a little statement about this. My mother, on her death, wanted that number played at the time where her body was being ready to go to rest. Now, why she picked that, I don't know. I asked her many times. She said, Chuck, don't question me on it. Just go ahead and have that played at the funeral home. And so I did. And so I hope that this pleased her very much on this. But she just enjoyed when she heard the band play it. And all of a sudden, this just kind of stuck with her, I guess, throughout those years. The Toccata and Fugue in D minor, just a few years ago at Carnegie Hall with the North Hardin Band, we opened up our concert with the Toccata and Fugue. Psyche and Eros, that was something that Dr. Hawkins insisted that I work on. Now that's just a sampling of the many different transcriptions that I've been able to do. Just 2 years ago, on the Beatrice and Benedict, I got a call from the University of Kentucky with the symphonic band, and I was asked if I would come down and just work on the number. And the statement was made, yeah, you realize that a lot of folks look at you as a guru with transcriptions. Well, I'm not. My mentor was. But as I began to work more into the world of transcriptions, I began to understand that I really needed to develop my band program. And I think that anyone that does transcriptions would want to do the same thing. You will have a phenomenal experience by using this as a media to develop the total ensemble sound that you would hope for transcriptions.